Hello, friends. About 99% of friends who watch my videos are not subscribed, and I would be very happy if you did. Also, don't forget to press the like button and leave your comments. Your interaction makes the content reach everyone and helps the channel grow. Also, let me know in the comments from which country you are watching the video.
I've been driving rigs for over 25 years, but there's one stretch of highway out in the middle of Nevada that I'll never drive again, not even if they paid me triple. That road damn near took my life. And maybe worse than that, it tried to take my soul. I know how that sounds. I know some of y'all are probably thinking I've been out on the road too long, breathing in diesel fumes and sleeping too close to the engine heat. But I swear on every mile marker and every cup of burnt diner coffee I've ever sipped, what I'm about to tell you is real. You ever feel like something's watching you even when you're alone? I ain't talking about paranoia. I mean the bone-deep chill, like icy fingers crawling up your spine while your headlights stretch into pitch-black emptiness. That's what happened to me one night heading east on Route 70, just past midnight, trying to make up time after. A long haul gone sideways. I picked up a load of canned goods in California and was rushing to meet a delivery window in Colorado. My CB had gone quiet hours ago. No chatter, no other drivers checking in. It was like I was the only soul on that lonely road. I had this strange feeling settle over me, heavy and suffocating like the air right before a thunderstorm. Then I saw it at first, just a flicker in the corner of my high beams. Thought maybe it was a coyote or a deer. But it wasn't. It was a man, or at least it looked like one. Pale as hell, standing dead center in my lane, wearing what looked like an old-fashioned black suit. Arms hanging stiff at his sides, face blank like a statue. I slammed on my brakes so hard. My rig screamed, tires smoking, the trailer lurching behind me. But I didn't hit him, because the second before impact, he vanished. Not dove out of the way, not ran. Just straight up disappeared like mist in the wind. I sat there, breathing hard, hands shacking on the wheel, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. I even climbed out of the cab with my flashlight, checked under the truck, searched the shoulder, the ditch, everything. Nothing. Not a footprint. Not a sound. The night was dead quiet, except for the ticking of my engine cooling off. That's when I heard it. A whisper. I swear to God, a whisper right behind me saying, "You're not supposed to stop." I spun around with the flashlight, but there was no one there. Just the wind kicking up dust across the highway and the creak of my trailer swaying behind me. Now, any sane man would have gotten back in the truck and drove like hell in the opposite direction. But I was already late and figuring maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. But that was only the beginning. That road didn't just mess with my eyes. It started messing with my mind. And soon I wasn't sure what was real anymore. You ever hear voices on a dead channel? See headlights in your mirrors that ain't really there? Yeah, buckle up, 'cause this was just the start of the worst trip of my life, Doc. So I got back in the cab, locked the door even though I was sitting in the middle of nowhere, and tried to shake it off. Fired the engine back up, checked my mirrors, and eased the rig forward, telling myself I was just tired. Long hours, empty roads, maybe I dozed off and imagined it all. But as soon as I hit 40 miles an hour again, that whisper came back. Only this time, it wasn't behind me. It was coming through the CB. Now let me be real clear. My CB was off. Switch clean off. I turned it down hours ago because nobody was talking, and the static was driving me nuts. But Alda, that dark, silent dash, the speaker hissed to life, and that same voice, low and raspy like it was breathing right into my ear, said, "Don't stop again, ever." I damn near drove off the road. My heart jumped so hard I swear it punched my ribs. I reached for the CB knob and yanked it off again just to be sure, even though it already was. No power. No light. Nothing. But that voice it didn't need. Electricity. That's when I started praying. And brother, I ain't prayed since my mama passed. I kept driving, hands clenching the wheel tighter than I should have, and every mile got weirder. The desert around me looked wrong. I know that sounds crazy, but I've driven through that stretch more times than I can count, and it was. Like the stars had shifted. Like the sky itself was watching me. The road kept stretching, but the mile markers weren't changing. I passed 237 3 times. I know because I stared at that number, burned it into my mind. Mile marker 237, 3 times in 30 minutes. My GPS just spun in circles. Didn't even show a road anymore. Like I'd fallen off the map. Then the headlights showed up behind me. I saw him in the mirrors, coming fast. Too fast for that. Road. They were bright, real bright, white as lightning and getting closer. I thought maybe another trucker finally showed up, so I tapped my signal and pulled a little to the side to let him pass. But they didn't pass. They got right up on me, flooding my mirrors so bright I couldn't see a damn thing, then poof, gone. No brakes, no swerve, no engine sound, nothing. Just gone like they were never there. I pulled over again, heart racing, palms sweating, and I told myself I was going to quit. Right there. Call dispatch, leave the trailer, get out on foot if I had to. But I couldn't. The door wouldn't open. Not locked, just stuck. And the windshield? It fogged up like someone was breathing on the other side. Then I saw the handprint. A single pale handprint slid down the inside of the glass like someone was sitting on the dashboard facing me. My breath caught in my throat. I ain't ashamed to admit I screamed. I hit the defrost, wiped the glass with my sleeve, not taking my eyes off that mark. But it stayed there. Not on the outside. On the inside. I grabbed my flashlight and shined it around the cab, but there was no one there, just me and that god-awful silence. I started driving again, not even caring where the road took me anymore. I just needed to move, to stay ahead of whatever the hell was toying with me. And then, in the distance, I saw lights. Not headlights this time. A truck stop. Old. Rundown, but lit like a beacon. I headed straight for it, praying it was real and not another trick. But what I found when I pulled in was something out of a nightmare. And once I walked inside, I realized I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. I parked the rig in one of the outer lanes of the lot, engine humming like it was scared to go quiet. That truck stop looked like it had been there since the 50s sign barely hanging, lights flickering like they were on their last breath. There was one other truck there, a rusty old Peterbilt with faded paint and no plates. The thing looked like it hadn't moved in decades. Still, I was desperate. Needed a break, a coffee, maybe a warm body to prove I hadn't lost my damn mind. I grabbed my flashlight, stepped down, and the second my boots hit the gravel, I felt it. The air was thick, heavy, not with heat, but with something else, like grief or fear, if those things had weight. The neon open sign buzzed over the glass door, but the moment I touched the handle, every light in the place blinked out for half a second. Just long enough for me to see a shape in the reflection behind me. Tall, slender, not human. I spun around, but the lot was empty. Just my truck, the other rig, and darkness. I went inside anyway. Call it foolishness, or maybe I thought if I kept moving, I could outrun whatever was playing games with me. The inside was exactly what you'd expect from an old roadside diner. Red vinyl booths, checkerboard floor, stale grease hanging in the air. There was a woman behind the counter. Or at least that's what I thought at first. She didn't blink, didn't speak. Just stood there, staring at me like she was waiting. Her uniform was clean but faded, name tag missing. Her eyes were the worst part cloudy like someone long dead, and she was smiling a smile that didn't reach her face. I cleared my throat, trying not to let my voice shake. Coffee? She didn't respond. Just turned and walked through a swinging door behind the counter without a word. I should have walked back to the truck, right? Then and there. But I didn't. I sat down at the booth closest to the exit, one where I could keep my eyes on the door. That's when I noticed the jukebox in the corner. It had turned on by itself. No one touched it. It clicked and spun, and an old Hank Williams song started playing, low and warped like it was underwater. The booths were empty, but there were coffee cups and plates on 3 of the tables. Steam still rising. Forks midair, like the folks eating had vanished mid-bite. My breath started fogging again, even though it wasn't cold. I stood to leave, heart hammering, and that's when I saw the woman again. She was back at the counter, except now there were 3 others with her. Men, I think. Dressed in trucker gear from another time. Old patches, torn denim, one had a leather vest with a faded logo I didn't recognize. And every single one of them was smiling with those cloudy, dead eyes. The man closest to the window slowly raised his hand and pointed at me, not saying a word, just pointing. My knees went weak. I backed up, hands out, saying, I don't want no trouble. But then the jukebox skipped again. The same song. Started over. Then again. And again. Every time it reset, they took a step closer. I bolted for the door, heart racing, lungs burning, but when I yanked the handle, it didn't budge. Locked. I pounded on it, turned, and they were only feet away now, their expressions never changing. I did the only thing I could, over the counter, and ran through the same door the waitress had gone through. What I found back there, it wasn't a kitchen. It was a hallway. A long, narrow hallway that shouldn't have fit in a building that size. And it was stretching forward into a blackness that swallowed my flashlight beam. But I ran anyway, because behind me, I could hear boots. Lots of boots, following me down that hall. And their footsteps didn't echo like normal. They sounded like they were inside my own head. I ran blind through that hallway, boots slamming against the linoleum, breath hitching in my throat like it was caught on barbed wire. The walls were too close, too smooth like hospital walls except there. Weren't no doors, no lights, no signs, just this endless tunnel that smelled like rust and mold and something sour, like old meat left out in the sun. I shined my flashlight ahead, but the beam just died about 10 feet out, like the dark was thick enough to swallow it. Still, I kept moving. The footsteps behind me never got closer, but they never faded either. They matched my pace exactly, like they were waiting for me to slow down, maybe even stop. That was their game, I could feel it. This wasn't about catching me quick. They wanted to break me, wear me down, make me desperate. And buddy, it was working. My chest was tight, my mind racing, trying to make sense of how I went. From driven a late-night haul to running through a haunted hallway under a truck stop that didn't belong in any state I recognized. I saw something in a headlight, maybe. A small red glow, flickering like firelight. I sprinted for it like a madman, like it was the last safe place on earth. As I got closer, the tunnel opened into a room. A circular one, lined with mirrors. From floor to ceiling, each one warped and stained, reflecting me 100 times over, but none of the reflections moved the same way I did. I stepped in, shacking, heart pounding, and every version of me in the glass was twisted. One had hollow eyes, black as coal. One had blood smeared across its face. One was smiling, and I wasn't. I turned to leave and saw that the hallway was gone, just vanished, like it'd never been there. The footsteps were gone too. Now it was just me, and them, my reflections. They started moving, shifting in the mirrors like they were behind glass windows instead of simple reflections. Each one acting on its own, pressing their hands against the glass, staring at me with this hunger in their eyes like they were starving and I was dinner. I backed into the center of the room, spinning in circles, flashlight beam flicking, across each cursed version of myself. Then one of them smiled wide and mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I read the words clear as day. Let us in. That's when the mirrors started to crack. Not all at once, just one, then another. Then all of them spiderweb with sharp lines, and that red glow turned to fire behind the glass. I could feel the heat, see the smoke building. I screamed, loud as I could. Not even words, just pure panic. And then I swear on everything I love, they started stepping out, one by one, climbing through the mirrors like they were walking through water, their boots hitting the floor. Heavy. Each one of them was me, but wrong. Wrong eyes, wrong smiles, wrong intentions, and they were coming straight for me. I didn't wait to see what they'd do when they reached me. I turned and ran, but there was nowhere to go just that same. Mirror room, no doors, no windows, no escape. The reflections, those twisted versions of me, they spread out in a circle like they were hurting me, corralling me toward the center where the floor started to shift. At first, I thought it was an illusion, but no, it was sinking. The tiles beneath my boots were cracking, dropping into some black pit below, slow at first, then faster, like the room itself wanted to swallow me whole. One of the reflections won. With a gaping mouth and no eyes lunge, I swung my flashlight like a club, connected with a wet, sickening crunch, and it screamed not in my voice, but in a high-pitched, inhuman wail that echoed in my skull like a train horn. It fell, vanished into the floor that was now almost completely gone, and I realized I had maybe seconds before I followed. I backed up, arms flailing, trying to keep the others at bay. That's when I saw it. A crack in the far wall reel. Wall, not glass. A jagged split just wide enough for a man to squeeze through, flickering light beyond it like a strobe. No clue where it led, but I took the chance. I made a run for it, shoulder checking another version of myself that hissed. As I passed, I dove through the crack, scraped my arms bloody on the way through, and landed hard on concrete. I lay there, gasping, listening. The sound of those other mez was gone. Just a deep, low hum now, like the drone of an engine in neutral. I stood slowly, looking around. I was in another hallway, but this one felt different, cleaner, colder, more real, but also sterile, like a hospital wing no one used anymore. The hum was coming from overhead lights, dim and flickering. The walls were lined with framed photos, and as I passed them, I felt my blood turn to ice. They were all of truckers. Real ones. Faces lined with miles and exhaustion. And under every photo was a plaque. Not with names, with dates. All the same date. July 3rd, 1976. No matter the face, young, old, black, white, they all had the same damn date. I walked faster, heart pounding, feeling the eyes in those photos track me. One picture middle of the wall was of me. Same shirt I was wearing. Same cut on my cheek from where I'd hit the mirror freak. And beneath it, the same date. July 3rd, 1976. I wasn't even born then. I touched the glass and it was warm. Too warm. I turned to run, but the hallway had changed again, no end in sight. Just more walls, more photos, and that hum getting louder. I screamed, but my voice felt like it got eaten by the air. Then, from the distance, I saw a silhouette. Someone was walking toward me slow and steady, boots echoing. I called out, "Hey, help!" But they didn't stop. They didn't even look up. As they got closer, I saw their face. It was me again, except this one looked tired, older, dead in the eyes like he'd been trapped for years. He walked right up to me, looked me square in the face, and said, "This is where we all end up. Every one of us." Then he pulled a key from his pocket, rusted, bent. He shoved it into my hand and whispered, "There's only one way out, but you won't." Like it. Then he turned and walked straight into the wall and disappeared. I stared at that wall for a long minute, heart thumping like a piston about to seize. He'd walked into it like it was fog. No sound, no impact, just gone. I looked down at the key. It was cold and heavy, shaped all wrong, like it wasn't made to fit any lock I'd ever seen. Jagged teeth, black metal, a smell of oil and old blood clinging to it. I turned it over in my hand, trying to decide if this was my ticket out, or just another trick in whatever hell this was. Then that hum the one overhead shifted. It dropped in pitch, got deeper, and underneath it I could hear voices. Hundreds of them, whispering, crying, some screaming. They weren't coming from the hallway now. They were coming from the photos. I looked up, and I swear every face in those frames had changed. All of them smiling now. Wide, toothy, unnatural grins. Their eyes rolled back, mouths open like they were laughing at me. I backed away, key clutched tight, breath coming short. Then I saw it at the very end of the hallway, where there hadn't been a door before. One had appeared. A massive steel door, bolted shut, no handle, just a single lock, the kind that looked like it was waiting for the key in my hand. I didn't think. I ran. I didn't care if it led deeper into this nightmare or out the other side. I just knew I had to move. The hallway stretched the farther I ran, but I didn't stop. Behind me I heard the frames falling, glass shattering, voices rising. And then I saw shadows, figures pouring from the broken photos, crawling and skittering across the floor like spilled ink with hands. I screamed and pushed harder. I reached the door just as something brushed my boot-cold wet clod. I jammed the key into the lock, twisted, and the door clicked. I pulled it open with everything I had and threw myself through it, slamming it shut behind me. Silence. Complete. No hum. No whispers. Just dead still air. I was in darkness again, pitch black. I fumbled for my flashlight, but it wouldn't turn on. I fell along the walls, hand shacking, and then I found something wood, grainy, a door frame. I pushed through and stumbled into what looked like a bedroom. Yeah, a normal-ass room. Wood-paneled walls, a twin bed, an old TV, lamp. On the knitstand flickering. I stood there, hard hammering, chest heaving, looking around trying to make sense of it. It looked like a child's room. The kind you'd find in a trailer from the 70s. Toys on the floor, a red tricycle in the corner. And on the wall above the bed photos, dozens of them, all of trucks. Wrecked, burnt, twisted. Some were familiar, real familiar. One was my truck, the exact one I'd been driven. Same paint, same license. In the photo, it was upside down in a ditch, on fire. I staggered back, stomach twisting. On the bed sat a boy, pale, thin, couldn't have been older than 7. He looked up at me and said, "It already happened, didn't it?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He stood, walked to the TV, and turned it on. Static hissed, then a news report blinked through. A familiar reporter. Tragic accident along Route 70 veteran truck driver loses control and crashes. Off an embankment. No survivors. My photo flashed on the screen. My name, my face, my truck. I dropped to my knees. The boy came up beside me and put a hand on my shoulder. Some of us don't know we're gone. Some of us never accept it. So we drive, and drive, and drive. I looked at him, and tears were rolling down his cheeks. "You gotta let go," he whispered, "or you'll stay on the road forever." I couldn't speak. My throat was tight, like every word I tried to push out got stuck somewhere between. Denial and dread. The boy's hand was ice cold on my shoulder, but it wasn't just the temperature that rattled me. It was the stillness in it, like death had weight, and I was feeling it for the first time. I stood up, legs shaky, eyes glued to that little TV screen still flashing the wreckage of my truck. The fire dancing over twisted metal and shattered glass like it was celebrating something. I staggered toward it, reaching out like touching the screen might change the image, like it could pull me back into the world where things made sense. But my fingers just passed through. The screen rippled like water, and I saw my own reflection, except it wasn't me. Not anymore. My eyes looked older, my skin pale, my face tired and drained, like I hadn't slept in weeks. I stepped back, breathing hard, hands trembling. "This ain't real," I whispered. "This can't be real." The boy tilted his head, sad-like. "It's more real than you want it to be." The lamp on the knitstand flickered again, then buzzed out, leaving us in darkness lit only by the flickering screen. I backed up toward the door I came through, but it was gone. Just wall. like it never existed. I need to wake up, I muttered. I just need to wake up. The boy walked back to his bed and sat down. Some don't, he said quietly. They stay. Get stuck. Their minds keep driven, keep hauling freight through places that don't exist anymore. The longer you fight it, the more the road owns you. I dropped to my knees again, head in my hands. I thought about the long hauls, the nights spent in diners, the quiet roads under moonlight. I thought about all the strange things I brushed off over the years, the whispers on the CB, the faces in the fog, the truck stops that weren't on any map. Maybe this had been following me for longer than I knew. Maybe I'd been drifting toward this place for years. Is there a way back? I asked, voice barely a breath. The boy didn't answer at first. Then he looked up and said, maybe. But you gotta find the mile you lost. I blinked. What mile? The one between where you were and where you died. I stared at him, confused, desperate. How the hell do I find a mile? He looked toward the wall. A crack had started forming there, same as the one I'd slipped through before. Drive, he said, but not just anywhere. Drive through the dark, through the place between the lines. If you find the lost mile, you'll know. The wall split open, revealing black road. No sky, no trees, just endless pavement floating. In nothing, and my rig, parked and humming, lights on like it was waiting for me. My heart thundered in my chest. I looked back at the boy one last time. What happens if I can't find it? He didn't smile, didn't blink. Then, you'll drive forever, just like the rest of us. I turned toward the crack, toward the truck, toward whatever came next. I didn't know if this was redemption or damnation, but I knew one thing: if there was a way out, it was down that road. I took one step, then another, and the blacktop swallowed me whole. The second my boots hit that blacktop, the air changed. It was thick, still, heavy as a tomb, and just as silent. No wind, no hum of bugs, no hum of life. My rig sat there in the dark like some kind of ancient beast waiting to be awakened. Headlights cutting through the pitch with a sickly yellow glow that barely reached the edge of the road. The cab door was open. I don't remember opening it. Didn't matter. I climbed in. My seat was warm, like I just stepped out of it, like I'd never left. The engine rumbled low and steady, like it was breathing, like it knew where we were headed even if I didn't. I shut the door, gripped the wheel, and stared at the endless stretch of road ahead. No mile markers, no signs, just two faint lines guiding me through a void. I eased my foot onto the gas. The rig responded like it always had, smooth and powerful, gliding forward into the unknown. The further I drove, the more I realized something was off. My rear view didn't show the trailer. Hell, it didn't show anything. Just black. Like the world behind me had ceased to exist. And up ahead, shadows moved just outside the reach of the headlights. Shapes I couldn't name. Crawling, skittering, melting into the dark as soon as I tried to focus. The road twisted in ways it shouldn't. Loops that bent gravity, stretches that seemed to fall upward, bridges over nothing. I kept driven, white-knuckled, trying to hold on to some sense of reality. I flipped on the CB out of habit. Static hiss. Then a voice crackled through. My voice. You passed it, it said. Turn around. I slammed the button. What? Who is this? You passed it, it repeated. You always do. The static returned, louder now, screeching, like feedback from a speaker buried in a grave. I turned it off, then the odometer caught my eye. It wasn't climbing. It was stuck on one. Number 666.6. I don't put much stock in superstitions, but buddy, when you see that number out here, in this place, you take it seriously. I slowed down, looked out the window, and that's when I saw it, a single sign on the side of the road, crooked and half buried in gravel. White letters barely legible in the beam of the headlights. Mile 239. My heart froze. That was it. That was the mile I passed 3 times back on Route 70. I damn near flew past it again. 2, but I slammed the brakes and veered off the main road onto a narrow path next to the side. The moment my wheels hit that gravel, the world changed. Sound came back, crickets chirping, wind rustling dry brush. I could see stars again, scattering across the sky like a map. I looked around, not trusting any of it. Not yet. Then, my rearview blinked on, and this time I saw my trailer. I saw trees. I saw the road. Real road. Familiar. I was back. I was really back. But something was wrong. I looked down at my hands. They were older. Veins like ropes. Wrinkled. And on the dash? A logbook I didn't recognize. Dated 1994. It was 2025 when I started that drive. I reached for the radio. Switched to the CB. Breaker 19, anyone read me? Static. Then a voice. You okay, driver? You sound spooked. I swallowed hard. Where am I? Just past mile 239. Eastbound. You must have blacked out for a bit, dispatchers. Been trying to raise you for hours. Hours? Not years? I looked around again. Same truck. Same air freshener swinging from the mirror. My reflection stared back at me, drawn, pale, but me. I hit the gas. Got moving. Didn't look back, and I ain't stopped driving since. Because even though I got back, I don't know what's waiting on the next dark road. And sometimes, late at night, when the highway's empty and my eyes start to droop, I swear I hear it again. That voice on the CB. You passed it. Turn around. Maybe I did get out. Maybe I didn't. But I know one thing for sure, there are places on these highways that don't belong to us. Places that remember every soul that crosses them. And if you ever find yourself on a road that loops, or see the same mile pass, you again and again, don't stop. Don't blink. And for the love of God, don't answer the voice that sounds just like you. Sometimes I wonder if I really made it out, or if this, right now, this driving, this talking, this breathing, is just another part of the trap. 'Cause the thing is, ever since that night, nothing's been quite the same. I'm back. On the road, yeah. Back to doing my long hauls, picking up loads from coast to coast, sleeping in the back of the cab, or stopping at motels when I can. But things don't feel real like they used to. Food don't taste right. Coffee don't warm me up. Folks look at me different, like they're seeing something they can't quite name. Then look away quick like it makes them uncomfortable. One waitress even dropped her notepad when I smiled. At her, swore up and down later, she thought she saw my eyes turn black. Said she was just tired. But the way she backed away, yeah, I know fear when I see it. But I try to ignore all that. Try to stay busy. Keep moving. Because if I stop for too long, if I park the truck and sit too quiet, I hear it. That low, gut-deep drone that don't come from any engine I know. It starts soft, like tinnitus, then builds till it's buzzing behind my teeth. That's when I know it's close. That place. The highway between places. The in-between. And the road starts changing. I've seen it happen even in daylight. Trees bend the wrong way. Birds go silent. Shadows stretch across the yellow lines. Even when there ain't nothing around to cast them. And the mirrors? They don't reflect right. Sometimes I catch glimpses of myself smiling when I ain't. Or seeing something sitting in the passenger seat that ain't there when I turn. It's like I never really left that place. Like it's ridden with me now. Waiting. One night, out near Arkansas, I stopped at a rest area to catch a nap. Place was mostly empty, just one old RV and a broken down sedan with the hood up. I locked up the cab, leaned back, cracked the window for some air, and closed my eyes. Not 5 minutes later, I hear knocking, not on the door, on the glass, right near my ear. Real slow. Tap, tap, tap. I sat up, heart jackhammering, and looked out. Nothing. but the mirror on the passenger side, fogged over, with 4 letters traced into the mist. MILE, just that. I wiped it off with my sleeve, heart beating in my throat, and looked around. The rest stop was silent. The RV was gone. Sedan, too. I don't remember hearing engines. Don't remember doors slamming. Just gone. I fired up the truck and got the hell out of there. No GPS, no route. I just drove. And for hours, I didn't see another soul. Not a single car. Not a truck. Just endless highway and a feeling in my gut like I was being watched from under the asphalt. When I finally rolled into a gas station just outside Texarkana, the clerk looked up at me and said, "You the one with the haunted truck." I froze. "What did you say?" He pointed out at my rig. "Man came by here a few months back. Looked just like you. Same truck. Said he was trying to outrun a road that was following him. We thought he was crazy, but you look just like him. You his brother or something?" I didn't answer. Just turned and walked back out to the truck, heart pounding. I'd never been to that station, but they knew me, or someone who was me. That's when I started keeping notes. Logging the weird? Dates, times, miles. Just trying to piece it all together. See if there was a pattern. And I kept seeing the same thing. It all starts when I cross mile 239. No matter what route, no matter what state, something shifts. When that number shows up on the odometer or flashes by on a green roadside, I don't even know if it's real anymore. Maybe I did die. Maybe I'm stuck in a loop, haunting the highways like so many others. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something else out there. Something that hunts the lost, feeds on confusion, and uses the road to reel us in. Either way, I keep driven, because I got this feeling that the second I stop is the second it finally catches me dot, and I swear to you, it's getting bolder. It used to just creep around the edges, little things, glimpses, chills down the spine. But now it steps right into the damn cab with me. It started about 2 weeks ago, out near Utah. Flat, open stretch of road, dead of night, and I'm hauling a light load out of Reno, heading for Denver. Sky was clear, moon big and full, stars scattering the heavens like broken glass. Should have been a peaceful drive, right? But I got that feeling again. That prickling at the base of the skull. Like I was being watched from inside my own bones. So I checked my mirrors, real casual. That's when I see it. A figure sitting in the sleeper, not moving, just there. Pale, thin, head tilted like it was studying me. I don't slam the brakes. I don't scream. I just stare at the road, hands tight on the wheel, heart pounding like a war drum. Not real, I say out loud. Ain't real. Just the road messing with me again. But then I hear it breathe, long, wet breaths, like lungs that ain't used to working. I flicked on the interior light, swung my arm around to the sleeper, and nothing, just blankets. My duffel, silence. But when I turned back to the windshield, the damn road had changed. The double yellow was gone. The trees had vanished. No sky, just black. Not night black, empty black. Like the world had been erased. I was driven on nothing, floating. I looked down at the dash and the needle on the speedometer was pinned, way past what this truck should be able to do. But the engine didn't roar. The wind didn't howl. It was just silent, like I was stuck between seconds. I don't know how long I was in that place. Could have been minutes, could have been days. Then the road returned, just snapped back like reality had been, holding its breath. Mile marker 239 slid past again, and just like that, I was on Route 70, eastbound, just outside of Green River. But here's the thing, I've been westbound 20 minutes earlier. No turnarounds, no exits. Just turned around without ever turning and sitting on the dashboard. A photo, one I didn't put there. Old, creased, edges curled from heat. I picked it up, hand shaking, and I swear I almost dropped it. it was a picture of my truck. Not just any picture that picture. The one from the TV in that room. Upside down, burning. Except this time, there was something new. A shadow. In the flames. A figure walking away from the wreck. And I couldn't see its face. But I knew. Deep down, I knew it was me. Or the version of me that never got out. The one that burned. I keep that photo now, right above the visor. Like a reminder. Like a threat. And every time I pass mile 239, I feel the cab grow cold and the air gets still. And that hum starts up again soft at first, then louder, like a warning. Or maybe a welcome. I can't say for sure. But I know this. Whatever that place is, whatever's. Out there on those twisted roads between reality and oblivion, it ain't done with me yet. Not by a long shot. And if you ever find yourself driven alone at night, and your GPS starts spinning, and your mirrors show more than they should, don't stop. Don't blink. And for God's sake, don't listen if a voice that sounds like yours tells you to turn around. There was a night, not long after the Utah incident, when I came real close to ending it all. Closest I ever been. I was rolling through New Mexico, real late those hours where the world feels hollow and time don't work right. Highway was empty, not a single set of lights ahead or behind. My mind was slipping, I'll admit it. That's what happens when the things you see start making more sense than the world you left behind. I hadn't slept in near 30 hours, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. And I kept hearing that voice again, the one that sounds like me, but twisted, tired, mean. It started saying things I didn't want to hear. Ugly things, whispers in the engine noise. You were always meant for the road. They forgot about you. There's nothing left but us. And I believed it. For a minute, I believed it. I looked down, saw that same photo sitting. Above the visor, the one with my truck in flames, that figure walking away. I thought maybe if I just let go of the wheel, just drift off into the desert, I'd finally stop running. I'd find peace, or whatever comes after. So I did. I took my hands off. Let the rig pull to the right. I watched the shoulder coming. Fast, scrub brush and gravel flashing in the headlights. But right before the tires hit the dirt, something slammed into the side of the truck hard. Metal on metal, the whole cab shook. Horn blared. I grabbed the wheel instinctively, swerved back onto the highway. My heart was pounding. I looked out the window, checking my mirrors. Nothing there. But when I stopped the truck and got out to inspect the side, there was a long, deep scratch down the length of the trailer, like claws. Not branches, not road debris, claws. 5 long rakes down the metal, deep enough to warp the sheeting. That's what saved me. That one last warning, like something was saying, not yet. You ain't done. After that, I started keeping track of every time something strange happened. Patterns, markers, rules. And I started seeing them plain as day. Rule 1, mile 239 is always the entry point. No matter where I am, if I see that number, I know I've crossed over. Rule 2, the voice on the CB is not me. Don't answer it. Don't talk to it. Don't acknowledge it. The more you do, the more it knows. Rule 3, if you see a mirror, don't look too long. Reflections lie out there, and sometimes they come through. Rule 4, never stop driving in the dark. Not unless you're sure the road is real. And even then, be sure. I wrote him down in a little black notebook I keep tucked under my seat, like a survival guide, a lifeline. I've met other drivers who've seen things too, guys who've had close calls on empty roads. Women who refuse to drive through certain stretches no matter what the money is. One old-timer in Louisiana told me he once saw a convoy of trucks moving down an abandoned road that ain't existed since 1968. Said the trucks looked like they were driven underwater. Said he followed them for half a mile before they all just vanished. I believe him. I believe every word. Because I've seen worse. I've seen the road smile. I've seen exit signs for towns that don't exist. I've seen a hitchhiker that got in and never got out, only for me to find his jacket folded in the passenger seat 3 states later. And still, I keep going. Why? Because if I stop, if I ever really stop, I don't think I'll get to leave again. I think whatever's following me, whatever's written, the lines between this world, and whatever is waiting on the other side, it's waiting for me to give up, to quit, to hand it the wheel. And I ain't ready to do that. Not yet, so I drive. I listen, I watch. And I remember the rules. One time out near Nebraska flatland, stars bright as hell, moon low like it was hiding from something. I stopped for fuel at one of those small town stations. You know the type. Rusted pumps, flickering canopy, lights, a tired little convenience store with dusty shelves and a single cashier who looks like he's been there since the Nixon years. The place was called Earl's. Never seen it on any map. GPS didn't even register I'd left the highway. But I was low on diesel, and the next stop was another 60 miles out. So I pulled in. The pumps clicked like they were winding. Up to explode, but the diesel flowed fine. I topped off the tank, and while I was standing there, I felt that presence again, like someone was watching from just outside the reach of the lights. Not from the shadows, from the reflection. On the fuel tank, I looked down and there it was. Not me. Not my reflection. It was twisted, stretched thin, like roadkill peeled off pavement. Same hat, same jacket, but the skin was wrong too pale, too smooth, and the eyes were wide open, like they hadn't blinked in years. And it was grinning. I spun around, fists ready, but nothing was there. Empty lot. Just my truck. I glanced. Back at the tank reflection gone. I told myself it was just the road getting to me again. Just fatigue. Just my mind playing tricks. But when I stepped inside the store to pay, the old man behind the counter looked up and flinched like I'd hit him. He backed into the shelf behind him, knocking over a rack of beef jerky, and shouted, "You again! I told you, get out!" I was confused. Said I'd never been there before. He shook his head, white as a ghost. No, you came in last. Week, same rig, same jacket. You bought a coffee, looked me dead in the eye and said, "We all burn eventually." Then you walked out and vanished. Police couldn't find your truck anywhere on the cameras. I didn't know what to say. I paid in cash, turned, and walked out without another word. When I got back in the truck, the radio turned on by itself. Old country tune, static heavy Hank Williams, I think. But underneath the music, a voice whispered real low, "You're catching up to yourself." I yanked the knob, cut the power, floored it out of there. Didn't look back. I don't stop in towns like that anymore. Don't trust places that ain't on maps. Don't trust pumps that work too well. And I sure as hell don't trust reflections. See, the thing about these roads, once you've been marked, they remember you. The road itself don't forget. It keeps pieces of you, little echoes, shadows of your soul. Some nights I swear I pass myself driven in the opposite lane. Same truck, same gear. Headlights dimmer, cab darker. And I don't honk, don't wave. I keep my hands on the wheel and my eyes forward. Because whatever's driven that other truck, it might look like me. It might even be me. But it ain't alive. Not in the way I still am. Not yet. Not until. I stop. And that's why I keep going. Keep moving. Because the second I stop, the second I get tired enough to pull over and rest, I know that other me will stop too. And he'll climb out. And this time, he might just get to the door before I do dock. There was a night in Tennessee, just outside Chattanooga, when I made the mistake of taking a shortcut. Dispatch had called, said there was a rollover on the interstate up ahead. Traffic backed up for miles. So I took an old bypass a buddy once told me about, swore it saved him 30 minutes every run. It started out normal enough narrow 2-lane road, trees leaning in like they were whispering to each other, high beams catching glimpses of deer eyes and the occasional mailbox half sunk into the brush. But after 10 miles, my GPS stopped. Working. Screen froze. No signal. Then the road started twisting in ways that didn't make sense. Sharp curves with no warning signs. Hills that rose and dropped like roller coasters. The trees got thicker, blacker, and I swear to you they leaned in closer every mile, like they were trying to choke out the sky. Then I saw the sign crooked. Wooden, barely hanging on a rusted post. Welcome to Denton Hollow. I'd never heard of it, but the name hit me like a cold slap. There was something about it, something old. Wrong. I slowed down, crept past the sign, and that's when I saw the town. Or what was left of it. Houses, sagging and rotted, windows boarded up, doors swinging in the wind that I never felt. No lights, no people, just that hush, that dead hush. But right there in the middle of town, a gas station, lit up like Christmas. Fluorescents humming, glass doors clean, pumps modern and shiny. And in front of it, an old man in overalls, rocking in a chair, staring right at me like he'd been waiting. I pulled in, against my better judgment. Yeah, but the rig needed a stretch, and my nerves were fraying. I got out, asked the man if the station was open. He nodded once, slow like every muscle in his neck was stiff from decades of being. Still, pumper work, he said. Won't cost you nothing. Just don't look in the window. That should have been my cue to get back in the truck and floor it. But like a damn fool, I stayed. Started pumping diesel, glancing toward the store. At first, all I saw was shelves. Then, in the reflection on the glass, I saw movement. Quick, jittery, too fast to be normal. Like someone crawling on all fours behind the register. I looked back, store was empty. But the reflection kept showing things moving where nothing should be. Shapes, faces peeking over shelves. And every one of them had my face. Twisted, get-eyed, smiling. I shut off the pump early, climbed back in the truck, and started to pull out. But the old man called out as I passed. You came through the hollow, driver. Means it's in you now. Just keep going. Don't ever stop near a river. I didn't ask what he meant. Didn't want to know. I just got back on the road road. I didn't care where it led. Just had to get away from that place. Later that night, I checked my mirrors. And in the reflection, I swear to you, just for a split second, I saw water. Dark, rippling water. Like I was driven over. Bridge that wasn't there. And someone standing in it, waving. Same dead grin. Same face. That's when it hit me. This road, these things, they don't always come at you fast. Sometimes they plant themselves like seeds. Wait, grow. And someday you look in the mirror and realize you ain't been driven away from hell. You've been driven toward it the whole damn time. Couple days after Denton Hollow, I got a call from dispatch telling me to haul a refrigerated trailer out of Texas. Easy gig, they said. Just frozen meat heading to some small grocer warehouse in Missouri, normal load. But I knew better by. Then ain't nothing about this life normal anymore. Not for me. Still, I took the job. Money was good, and I figured maybe keeping busy would shut out the things clawing at the edges of my mind. Pulled into the yard, hooked up the reefer unit, paperwork checked out fine. Except for one thing. The bill of lading listed the weight at 4,000 pounds. But I could feel it in my bones the second I hit the road. This trailer was heavy, way too heavy. Like it was hauling concrete blocks or a full-size tractor. I shrugged it off at first, telling myself dispatch probably just rounded down. But as I got into the dark stretch between Amarillo and Tulsa, things got strange again. Reefer kicked on every few minutes, even though the air outside was cold enough to chill the bones. And every time it turned on, I'd hear its soft knocking. Rhythmic, from inside the trailer. Not loud, not like banging fists, more like fingers. Tapping. I turned the music up. Louder, ignored it. Kept driven, But it didn't stop. And after a while, it wasn't just knocking. It was whispering. Faint at first. Couldn't tell what it was saying. Just a murmur that rolled down the frame of the truck and into the cab like radio static through a steel pipe. Then, about 2 a.m., deep in the woods off I-44, the reefer died. Shut off completely. I pulled over onto a wide gravel shoulder, got out, walked around back to check it. That's when I noticed the frost. Thick, clingy frost spreading down. The sides of the trailer like fingers. I stepped closer, breath fogging. And that's when I heard the whisper again, clearer now. "Driver, let us out." I froze. My breath caught in my throat like I'd swallowed ice. I backed away, slow, reached for my phone, no signal. Not even emergency bars. So I climbed back in, fired the engine, and took off. Didn't stop again until sunrise. At the next way station, I pulled in, said something wasn't right with the load. The inspector opened the trailer. I waited, sweating. After a few minutes, he came back face pale. Said it was empty. Completely empty. Not a box. Nada. Pallet, just a cold metal box. Spotless, like it never been used. But I felt it when he opened that door. Like something passed through me. Like pressure releasing. Or breath exhaling. He asked if I was okay. I said yeah. Lied through my damn teeth. Got back in the truck, and when I checked my rear view, the trailer was gone. Not detached. Not stolen. Gone like it had never been there. Just me and the cab rolling down the highway. Dispatch didn't believe me, of course. Said I must have unhooked it and drove off without realizing. Dock worker even claimed I'd signed the drop-off log in Missouri. I didn't. Argue. What was the point? The road had taken another piece of me, and it wasn't giving it back. That night, I stopped at a little diner in Kansas. Needed hot coffee and human voices, even if they were strangers. I sat at the counter, and the waitress, a young girl, couldn't have been more than 20, looked at me real close before. Saying, "You got shadows in your eyes." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She leaned in, whispered like she was afraid of being overheard. "Sometimes truckers come through here with that look. Like they seen something they can't unsee. You're one of them. I can tell." I didn't say a word. Didn't need to. She poured my coffee, slid a napkin across the counter with something scribbled on it. I looked down. It said, "If the road ever calls you by name, don't answer." I folded the napkin, put it in my wallet, and walked out without finishing my drink. 'Cause I realized something then. There's more of us out there. Drivers who've crossed into that other place. Some make it back. Some don't. Some are still out there, stuck between exits that don't exist. And some stop answering the CB altogether. Not 'cause they lost signal, but because they ain't the ones driven anymore. I don't know what finally broke me. Maybe it was the silence between the voices, or maybe it was the noise inside my own head. But I knew I was done running. I was getting too close to the edge, not the road, not some cliff. I mean me. The part of me that still felt like a man, still remembered who I used to be before the road got inside me and twisted things around. I couldn't sleep anymore without. Hearing tires rolling across gravel that wasn't there. Couldn't eat without tasting diesel. Couldn't look in the mirror without wondering if the reflection was going to smile before I did. It was eating me alive. The road, the voices. The endless loop of shadows and signs and towns that don't show up on any damn map. So I made a decision I was going to find mile 239 one last time. Not pass it. Not escape it. Just face it. Find whatever it is waiting for me out there and end it. One way or another. It was somewhere near Oklahoma where I saw it again. Not. The mile marker. Not the hum. This time, it was the rig. My rig. Parked off the side of the highway. Hazards flashing in the dark. Like it just broke down. Same color, same plate, same air freshener hanging from the mirror. Only difference? Someone was sitting in the driver's seat. I pulled over without even thinking, heart slamming in my chest, palms sweaty on the wheel. stepped out of my truck and walked across the gravel shoulder toward it. Every step I took, the air got colder, heavier. My breath came out like smoke. And when I reached the window, I looked in and there I was. But not like I am now. Like I used to be. Younger. Alive. Not tired. Not worn down. That version of me looked up. Locked eyes. Then smiled. Not cruel. Not warm. Just sad. Like he knew how far I'd come. Like he'd been waiting. I opened the door and climbed in. Sat down across from him. Neither of us spoke. Didn't need to. The cab was silent, except for the faint ticking of the hazard lights. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A key. Same as before. Black, jagged, cold. He pressed it into my hand. "You already drove it once," he said. "You just don't remember." I stared at the key. I felt it this time. Not fear. Not confusion. Just truth. Cold, heavy truth. I wasn't looking for a way out anymore. I was looking for the end of the road. I nodded once, stepped down, walked back to my own rig, and slid into the seat like it was the last time I'd ever do it. Engine rumbled like it recognized me. I checked my mirrors. No reflection. Not this time. Just black. I shifted into gear and rolled forward. The road stretched out ahead, straight and empty. No stars, no moon, just darkness like velvet, deep and endless. The further I drove, the lighter I felt. Like I was leaving pieces behind guilt, fear, memory, all of it. I passed mile 239, one last time. Didn't look back, didn't see a sign. Just knew. Then the road changed. Not twisted, not broken, just clean, smooth, bright. Like dawn was rising, though the sky was still dark. I felt the truck slow, not because I hit the brakes, but because it wanted to stop, like it knew we'd arrived. I saw a single light ahead, an old diner, flickering neon. Open, looked just like the one from years ago. The one I could never find again. I parked, climbed down, stood in the stillness. No voices, no hum, no wind, just me and peace. Maybe that's what the road was leading to this whole time. Not hell, not punishment, just the truth. A place for those of us who drove too far for too long, chasing shadows and running from our own ghosts. A place to rest. So I walked inside. Bell over the door jingled. Same waitress behind the counter. She looked up, smiled, poured a cup of coffee without a skin. I sat down, took a sip, hot, real. She slid another napkin across the counter. Same handwriting. This one said, "You made it home." And that's where it ends, friends. I ain't on the road no more. Not the one you're thinking. I'm somewhere in between. Somewhere the GPS don't reach. But if you're out there, driven, and you pass mile 239, and you hear a voice on the CB that sounds just like yours, don't stop. Don't slow down. And whatever you do, don't take the key. You might not be ready yet. But when you are, you'll know. The road always knows. And it don't forget its own.